When Tom first reached out to the Optimized Coach and asked for help, he was running a business that was predominantly in person with 2 online clients, struggling to make it grow, but he knew he was destined for more. Fast forward 3 years, he's 24 years old and he runs a 6-figure coaching business. That's come from systems, confidence, and direction. What we're going to do now is break down the entire journey. So let's get into it.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Good to have you, buddy. So let's go right back to the start. When you joined the industry, what did that look like? How did you get into the industry?
So I started off when I was 18. I worked at a leisure centre local to here, and the first part of my journey was as a lifeguard, building up into the gym instructing, taking classes, cleaning machines, the normal sort of process that they would take. I then got a job in the gym full time, just working, still delivering the basics of inductions, programs, a whole different host of people. And then I was like, all right, I want to get qualified as the personal trainer. I was seeing other people do it. I've always come from a sporting background, playing a decent level of football, and I always wanted to know, right, how can I help somebody else get to a good place physically? So I signed up for a PT course, and from that point, I was working full-time while studying, and then I also dropped out of college, so I was doing the equivalent to 3 A-levels to go to university that year, so I was pretty full jam-packed. It was a different route compared to the normal style that majority of people would go for. And then from that point, I was obviously working, got qualified, started in an employed role, and started with first clients, which the gym obviously provided. And you're building on your knowledge as you go, because as we know, when you first get qualified in the industry, you don't really know what to expect, what to do. It's like, right, yeah, you're ticked off now, mate, here you go. So I didn't have a huge understanding of things, and I looked to other people in the industry of what they were doing, a few years ahead of me, and that's how I kind of come in contact with yourself later down the line. I was still kind of working full time from that point. From there, I then moved to another gym, which was a case of me like starting on my own. This was for myself. There wasn't no paid kind of monthly income. It was just me like, right, you need to just go talk to people. And I was very fortunate, the gym manager there, who's a great guy, he pretty much made me go talk to every individual in the gym. It was like this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Which was scary at the time, but it made such a difference. And I kind of built my way up from that point, still working part-time. And then that's when I reached out to you from there, because I was in Struggle City pretty much.
Yeah, that first way into the industry, although it was a little bit unique, it is still the classic gym floor, level 3, speaking to people. I remember you saying lifeguard when we first spoke and all that kind of carry on. Yeah. Doing all the bullshit side stuff, college, cool. What did the business look like? Because before you came to me, you had a business, but it was majority face-to-face. It was 2 online clients, I think.
Yeah, 2 online clients to be exact. I still coach those exact clients now.
Yes, love it.
Absolute legends. And I only had a small group of in-person clients, which they're brilliant. And they really I was very fortunate. Those clients I did have, they'd run businesses. So I've seen them invest in themselves as such, like professionally. So I was like, oh, this must be like the normal thing to do. So I was in a good spot for my age and where I was, but I was not where I needed to be. I didn't have any sort of structure to how I ran things. I was kind of just like, right, just turn up for the hour, you pay me for the hour, and then I go from there. So I was obviously still living at home, saving as much cash as I could, and from that point I was like, right, I want to make this professional. So from that point, I then reached out to you later down the line, because I didn't feel I had everything in check. It was like scattered, like there was no systems or structure to anything I did.
Which, as we know already, that we now have.
Yeah.
Not to go too far ahead though, so when you did reach out, in the lead up to reaching out to me, what was it, do you think, that drew you to me, the OC in general? Like, what were you seeing that you felt like you were missing, or?
I think for me, the type of individual you was, not necessarily about the business, but I saw you as a good family man. I saw like how good you was with Nixon, and it seemed very trustworthy, and there was other big names in the industry that were getting coached by you that I looked up to. So I was like, well, if they're with this guy, he must know what he's doing. So I'll kind of go with you. But I was binging obviously your content, your reels, and even the stupid little things at the time. Like the guy's lights in the office, all his books are in order, the detail matters, and I'm like, if he carries these standards with what he's just putting out online, like I wonder what his product's like, his service is like. So, and I got referred from Zach, who are still in the OC now. So that was where it kind of started for me.
One of those things you mentioned, like the lights, the books, life in order. It's funny because there's a certain type of client in the OC that sees that for what you see it, and there's a certain type that see it as like just random neuroticism. Genuinely, the guys like you that have that thing, that the desire to have that level of structure in their wider life, are the guys that tend to end up on these interviews. And it's a desire to have your ducks in a row, have it organized, to have structure. So you were drawn by that, the short form, which is great. And then you reached out to me, and you and I obviously then had a discussion. We got on the phone. Now, at that point, when we did get on the phone, were you crystal clear on what you were looking for?
No, not at all. I didn't really know what to look for as such. But I knew where I wanted to go, which was the big driver for me.
Yeah.
Same as it isn't like the mission and the passion for helping people and helping more people was like, that was all I cared about, but I didn't want to do it just off a whim. I wanted to do it professionally. I wanted it to look good. I want them to have like a world-class feeling and get the best results. And I think for me, that's all I knew at the time, because I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
Then obviously when we had a conversation, a call, I was able to like see inside what's possible as such, which really opened my eyes up to it.
It still feels, but it felt even in that first discussion, it was driven by a desire for more and like aspiration, like you were reaching for something. 100%. And that's never left as far as I can see when you're speaking to me. Like every single time I speak to you, that aspiration's still there. But even right at the start, the aspiration and drive for more was there, the hunger.
Yeah, I've always been like that with like anybody that you speak to that knows me. Like from a young age, I've always been pretty driven with things. It's just, yeah, it's how it's always been with sport, with even becoming a personal trainer. When I was running, like it all links back to the same sort of headspace of wanting to just do the best I can. There's a little bit of ego in there, of course, because I just want to perform at the best I can.
Be the best.
And if I can't, then it's not good enough. Then you learn how to go about it again as such.
I totally agree. And like the running is one of those things that I see that you've been driven by more there. You're just looking to transpose that into business, because I like the ego thing. Is it ego? I don't think it is. I wouldn't describe you as someone with an ego.
No, not an ego as such as like the classic, like look at me or whatever, but just within myself, like I'm always competing.
Self-competitive. Self-motivated and self-driven in my perspective though.
Yeah.
You have that in abundance. So let's move to talking about the OC then. So you reached out, you had that first call. The desire was more. What did you come away from that call? I'm going to leave this question really vague. How did you come away from that call, the first chat?
I had a sense of direction. Going back to similar to the running and everything else, yeah. I'm very process driven. Like even with data, I need to know, right, I'm doing X to get to Y. And we had that roadmap built out, and it was like phase by phase, similar to when you're programming. It was very detailed, and I was like, right, this is what's required of me. And also this is who I need to become. Like I wasn't confident making content at the start.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't confident like putting an offer out or going up and talking to another person in the gym or speaking to somebody on Instagram, just having conversation. So for me, that was as much of a personal development as it was of the business developing, which is still the case now. There's just different levels to that. But I came away with complete clear direction, and I knew what needed done. And also I wasn't looking for anything short term. I knew this was a longer term game plan.
Good. It was 100%, and I'm glad you came away from it with that confidence and that clarity. And I'm glad you brought that back to like running, because with running, it's data. Coaching is just data. Business is absolutely no different, but you just didn't have the data to run with. You wanted clarity on the direction, but in my opinion, we didn't have a huge amount of clarity on the current location.
Yeah.
So if you want to get better at running, we need to know how well you run now, what your split times are, how fit are you, all that data. Where are you now? Where do you want to be to join the dots? That's what we did. So then even if we think about the first 3 months in the OC, what were the first few things that started to click? Like, what do you feel like started to just you got your teeth into first?
I think understanding, I would say firstly, where I wanted to go from what we got from the call, and the basics. Like, I'd probably say it's the better money management, how to look and manage your finances, how to structure your week, how to look after yourself first. And I remember one of the first things we went through, it was like, I can't remember if the days are still similar, but like on this day and this day, like I'm completely with Nixon. And it's like, I was like, right, if I can take those principles and like, right, this is just my own time, I haven't got a child, but I can use the principles, they remain the same, and I still do now. And that allowed me to set my week up for structure. I can deliver better quality kind of coaching to my clients. I'm not just, which I did initially, was like on the gym floor 6 till like 8, 9 at night, which I believe you have to do those reps. Like, it's a needs must, and it helps you become a better coach.
Agree.
And I will still coach to that level now. But I believe at the start, getting just a structure to my week, control of finances, and having a weekly system to go through things, just the basic foundations. And then obviously from on that point, learning how to communicate with people, how to live a better coach, and how to create better content. And it was a step-by-step process, but the basics were key for me at the start, and I still use them now.
Could not agree more. And everyone wants to skip those bits, but they're the bits that coaches have a problem with. It's like a client. Clients come to you, and the basics aren't in order. Never mind the fancy stuff, the bells and whistles. Let's just get, and it's not sexy. It's very hard to make it exciting to someone who doesn't have your mindset, because you said something really important, which was who I need to become. That definitely lands with me. But the other thing that you said is, one thing I'll say for you that you're very good at is identifying a process that I might have, but you might not have been taught the process. You just observe the process and think, well, okay, what does that mean for me? Rather than, well, he's not told me how to, if he's got Nixon on a Tuesday, he's not told me how to do that yet. You're just like, okay, cool. What can I do with that? That's definitely been one of the superpowers that you've possessed. So then moving into, you've now got confidence, you've got money management, you've got time management, you've got structure in your week. So now we've got some, I suppose, calmed everything down.
Yeah.
Slowed all the chaos down that happens in a business where you're changing hats every 5 minutes. Then what do you feel like was like the things, the steps, the stuff that we did together that started, because we don't have any momentum there. In fact, in everything we might have lost a bit of momentum.
Yeah, because you sort of have to reinstall
a new operating system, right?
Start. Yeah, exactly.
So we've got the new operating system. What do you think are the things then that drove you to have the momentum? What did we install?
I think it was just implement fast.
Okay.
I had time because I had a small number of clients, which obviously that took up a small amount of time, but the rest of that time was filled with, right, how can I get better? How can I deliver a better result?
Yeah.
So, like, I was very service driven and still am. Like, the clients are first, and that's the most important thing. But if I can use that time spare on everything you've set out to me in terms of, right, we've done the basic foundations, how can we implement fast? Like, how can we bring new eyeballs in? How can we sell
so
my product?
lead gen was one of those things then?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Lead gen, and then putting my approach across, like putting me across, who am I? Not just like, I'm not just selling a coaching session, or I'm not just selling an online product. It's like, right, who am I? Where's my authority? And it took me months, years to build that within my market. So I think dialing in on, right, who am I delivering to? And once I've got crystal clear on that, how can I actually attract those type of people? That was the next step for me, just learning about my offer, what it is, who it's for, and how I can impact them.
Agree. So now we've got a system, an engine for communicating who you are, what you do, who you help and why and how. So that's happening. You're now bringing in more consistent leads, which doesn't involve traipsing around the gym floor as it did in the chapter before.
Yeah.
One of the things that strikes me, and you can tell me if you disagree, that's absolutely fine, was my observation of you is you really like having structure and process. If I can give you structure and process for how to brush your teeth, you would like it, right? More than you currently have, right? You like it. So structure and process in the delivery side, the client management side, having those back-end systems, for a lot of people it gives them a bit of mental space. I think for you it just gave you excitement is what I observed. It's like, cool, I've got this now, I can just fucking blow this up. But it felt like the business that you came to me with didn't have any of that, so it couldn't scale.
Yeah. 100%. I think even when we was first setting up like your client directory, having everything in one area, I'm like, right, this is so neat, this is so tidy. Going back to previously, as you say, having those systems in place, it gives me like so much more clarity to think, and actually I can actually coach better because I'm not worried about where everything is. It's like, right, it's there, everyone's in check, everyone's in order. Like this person's check-in day's here, I'm seeing this person then, their next call's here, this is their birthday, this is their partner's name. Like I've got everything dialed in. And once you have that in place, it does give you more capacity and thinking space to think, right, how can I help more people now? And then it goes obviously into the next stage of bringing more people into your business, helping more people.
You've touched on it a few times, and it's good because it's like everything that we installed, you keep bringing back to, without saying the words like mental space, but the mental space, the next part that you're saying without saying is you're very good at using that time. So if we install the client directory and that frees up, even an hour a week, you've always been good at spending that time, not, oh great, I'll just sit around and play PlayStation for another hour. You're very good at filling that time with, okay, well, what are the things that we've got working and how am I going to fill that? So then you've used the time from the client directory for lead gen, it seems.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're putting out more content because there wasn't a huge amount of content when we started.
No, not at all, not at all.
But you're a fucking machine at content. You're one of the most consistent people on the OC with content, no question on mine, since you started. And I genuinely believe that to be one of the reasons you're sat here today, is consistency above all else.
Yeah, I think, again, it's just that process of following your own way and strategy. And what I really like is same with everybody in the OC, you give us the tools and what's needed. But you're always like, right, you need to figure it out your own way as such, in terms of like your style, what you like. Like going back to content, like I've been absolutely smashing out loads of like carousels, connection posts, just stuff I'm doing day to day with bits of value in there, and my clients doing well, and also showing the struggles because it's not always good, as you know. And I think finding something that works for yourself, rinse and repeat, and then maybe try something else out. And it's okay if it doesn't work, and I'm okay to fail. I don't mind that at all.
Where do you think that comes from?
I think it comes from a place of I used to always be afraid of failing. Like when I think about like school years or whatever. But I think once you're at a place where you're like, well, I literally had nothing at one point, so that this is better than failure anyway. And then as you develop as a person, like, right, I can learn faster. You can implement faster. You're like, right, I won't make that mistake again. Or if I do, I'll relearn it another way. And I'm almost not bothered by it as such anymore.
I agree. I see that in you, and it's definitely one of your strengths. I'm always curious to see how people arrive at that mindset shift, because for a lot of people, they haven't cracked that. A lot of coaches have not cracked that failure, being okay with failing fast, experimenting. You've always been good at that. But then when I was thinking about you on the flight this morning, for me, that's born out of massive action and ownership and agency. You are someone who, if it's to be, is up to me. You have this, like, I'll make this happen. It feels to me, here you go, like you know that you'll make it work.
Yeah, I don't know where it comes from, to be honest.
The desire to win, in my opinion.
Yeah,
right back to that, like, self-competitiveness.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's just myself in my own head as such, thinking, right, not just always what's next, but how can I make things better? And it's the same, like client results, for example. I'll think back to when I first started a few years ago. I'm like, oh, if I just knew that now, I could help that person a lot more. And it goes back to like education of a coach as well. And I think across the board, with my own training, with everything, and Amy will tell you this as well, I try to be so detailed with things, I don't know what it is. Amy likes to call it...
You're unwell, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, I just enjoy what I do, and like the feedback I get from clients, like it's such a buzz, there's no feeling like it. It's whether for example, if I PB event or if a client messages me with like a message of how you've changed their life, that for me is like king above anything. And that feeling, you chase that feeling to try leave each person in a better place. And I have that principle with my business. It is like my child. Like I want it to be the best it can be. It's not always the best it can be. It fails a lot, but also does very well. And that's what I'm okay with. I'm okay with that, because across these last 3 years, that's how I've probably grown as much as I have, because not being afraid to admit that it's not always great, but things do go wrong as well.
I mean, you know I'm the same type of person as you with the details. But if we boil that right down, where I perceive that coming from for you is that golden mantra of the OC is income follows impact. And you strike me and have repeatedly struck me as the sort of person that really just values how much impact can I have over these people. Like you said, you brought that right back to client results like in an instant. For a lot of people, it just keeps coming back to money and lead gen and money and lead gen. But for you, it's come back to if I could just get better results.
Yeah, that's the. Like I remember, maybe in a year and a half in, when once I got set up on my stripes and all that sort of stuff, like I didn't realise what I built as such. I was a bit taken back, but I was literally just so focused on every individual, and then they would refer. Like a lot of my business is built off referrals.
Which is huge.
And then you like sit back when we had this client event at Chasfilm, there was like 27 people there.
Yeah.
And I was like, after that, I was like a bit taken back, like, Jesus, this is incredible what I've done in the period of time and the feedback and how everybody's coming together. It's pretty cool that I've been able to create that for them, that space. And people have created friendships off the back of that. That's why the delivery part, the client results are so important to me. We all have targets, and I do in terms of financially of where you want to get to and what you want to build to, but that was never the first thing for me. All it was right, can I leave this person in a better place? And then that just kind of steamrolled on from there. Then you're like, oh, I've now got a business. And then there's more bottlenecks. You're like, right, Matt, how do I fix this and this? And that's the process, and that's how it's going to be for the next few years.
Love it. Here's a fun twist on this. Go with me. If you started again today, what would you do?
Very good question. In terms of like, I would have that same approach of
like your ground zero, like you're right back, go right back to like.
I'd go systems and structure before anything.
Okay.
Taking into account like I can actually coach, right?
Yeah, you've got your level 3. Let's say ground zero is level 3, but no clients.
Yeah, no clients, but I've got the education I have now as a coach. Systems and structure of a business, set my week up, where I'm putting my time across each day. I'd have a look at time in the business, time out of the business, where that time's going, like what are the big levers that I can either help deliver better results, how can I make either better content, and also, which I still do now, in your local area, how can you become the go-to guy? Or people to shout about you. So that'd be like the first point of call. I'd then make sure, as I say, my systems are in place. So when I'm bringing somebody in, it's like it's state of the art when they come through. As soon as they've paid, they know what they're, step by step, what they're doing, where they're going, when they're checking in, when they're seeing me, and obviously the coaching process from that. So I'd feel, I could easily set that up now. Before it took me months, but because I've just done it, I could do it a lot faster. But that would be how I'd set it up, prioritise my time. And also, I would say no to things at the start. I said yes to everything at the start.
That's
so
huge.
I'd block my time out for myself, for time with Amy, time for my own stuff. At the start, I was like, right, I just need to grow, and probably look at my own time and worth almost, not just give everything in terms of like my own self. Because I did a lot of the time. Like I remember when I started, I was working a lot of weekends. I mean, I still work weekends now, but it's different. It may be a little bit more fun as such, and I enjoy working.
So when you start with the time, you got the time management, you got the internal systems, back end, Tom systems. Then it's front end, focus on having something world class to deliver and offer clarity. And okay, that's all now in place. And you're going to be the local hero. That was the third part. How are you getting to 20 clients if you were to do that right now using what you just said? Like, what's your next step? How are you going to get those first 20 clients if you went back?
I'd do multiple things. I'd go probably every coffee shop in the local area. I'd go to the gyms, talk to people, and then the big lever will be content. So just make myself seen, and I'm taking into account that I may have like a few results as such. Just market those where they was at. How you can then put them in a better position using your coaching, and I would just showcase what I do as much as I can, and then just put everything into that. That'd be the three main things. And I think a lot of the time, especially from a results point of view, coming from coaching a lot in person, I still do some now, a small amount, which with clients I've always coached, I would look at, even though it's local, you can still coach people online and get them incredible results.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can leverage that to get to your first 20 and then make your results so good for the first 2 or 3 that come in, ask them to refer their friends. And that's how I'd go about it to start off with. I'd just be absolutely aggressive with...
You're always like absolutely aggressive. I like that about you. So you've gone into local places where they hang out, you've marketed in there in some way, flyers or whatever else, you've spoken to those people, you've started making content, and you've started showing them not just the results you can get, but your processes and how you do it, which you're very good at. I'm very proud of the way you do it. I perceive you to be very proud of it. You should be. A question I'd love to know the answer to is, in the process of trying to gain those first 20 clients in this hypothetical scenario, how would you manage your expectations? Because you want to get to your first 20, but we both know if you were going right back to zero, you would do it much faster now. We both know about Tom that you're going to be frustrated to some degree. So how would you manage your expectations? What would you do differently now knowing what you know versus Tom that didn't know?
I think patience. And
are you patient?
Not with lots of things, but
good. I'm glad you agree.
Not with lots of things, like with work or things being done. I think most of my friends, family and Amy would say I'm definitely not patient.
I don't think you're patient.
I would be patient in terms of expectation and results. Same with the client. If they come to me and they wanted X within 6 weeks, I'm like, that's like, you have to be ambitious but realistic. And now I'd probably look at more data as well as just the emotion, which is stuff we've gone through. So I'd probably have a set system each week of what I'd follow, like the amount of people I've spoken to, messages I've sent to people, conversations I've had. That would be how I'd go about it. So I'd be patient in terms of that client in front of me or that individual I'm speaking to.
My observation is you're patient in the macro, in that you said something to me before we started filming about YouTube, about understanding the bigger picture.
Yeah.
You seem aggressive in the micro.
Yeah, that's probably bang on.
Okay, good. I like that a lot. I agree, and I think this is a great strategy. The one thing I just want to touch on super quickly is you said you'd gather all that data, conversation started. What would you do with that data?
Review it, just weekly.
When? Weekly, okay.
Yeah, so at Simpsons now at the moment, every Friday, I go to a place where I like to have a coffee. Yeah. Spend an hour, I'll review client performance, business performance, and my own personal performance, like where's working, where's not. And then next week you've got actionables on that. And I only pick maybe 1 to 2 things maximum. It's never anything fancy, it's never anything crazy, but it's just simple basics that I've followed over months that works. So I've got the proof in the pudding to then keep doing that. Just like with your running, you're looking at what's working and what's not, and then you're making micro adjustments week to week, as opposed to the client that program hops is macro adjusting. Yeah. They're hopping around between X, Y, and Z. For you, it's micro. It's look at the data, gather the data, review the data. Once you've reviewed the data, it's like, okay, well, what little change am I going to make next week? What's working? Where's the outlier? You've always been very good at spotting those, certainly the last couple of years. This whole discussion is, we're talking about at the start, we're not talking about hypothetically what we do, but one thing I wanted to say to you is the one thing I am most grateful for in you, obviously there's lots. There's you doing the work, there's you asking good questions and doing what is asked of you, which is huge in a client. But honestly, for me, the big thing, Sarah and I discussed this over dinner the other night, was loyalty. Like, you've been here for 3 years, just a little over at this point. Yeah. Which is incredible. And I, for one, am very grateful for that. I have always perceived myself as someone that will find one thing, hold on to it, and just, even when it feels like maybe I'm not squeezing as much juice out of it as I have done in the past, I prefer operating that way, and there's no shoot attached, but you strike me as someone that does the same thing. You've been very loyal. Do you perceive that? Where do you think that comes from? Because you liking my books and my lights is one thing, but you're not still here for that, bro. I think for me, when you start, you put your trust into somebody. Yeah. You have to deliver yourself as myself, the client. I have to deliver my end to get to where I need to go. But because the success has been there, I maybe don't need you as much now, 3 years on. but when I do need you, that is answered, and that's all I need. And I think for me, it's very heavy at the start, like that first year to 2 years. It's just building and building and building, and going over the same stuff as we know. But now I'm looking at things maybe from a different lens of, right, in 3 months I need to look at this, and I'm similar to what I mentioned to you the other day, like, right, I want to come to you with data. I don't want to come to you, I've got a problem with this and this, and it's like, right, have I looked at it myself? And going back to what you said before, I think years ago when you was engineering, you need to do 3 things before you go and ask a question. So I still try to do that now, and even instill that within my clients. So you create some level of autonomy. It's like, I don't need to be handheld. I just need to be shown a process, follow that, make my own style out of it, which I do sometimes. I have occasionally shiny object syndrome, as we know, but it always reverts back to coming back to the basics. Which you've already told me, but
You're right though, like you do end up using it differently in that we discussed this in the war room. I know you missed, but it was initially it's information. You joined, you consume all the information. Then you move into your second chapter where you implement. So it's information first, implementation second. They're your first couple of years. Now the way I view how you use the OC and the help I provide as insurance, where it's, I have this problem, I've reviewed the problem, I've got the data, here's what we've got, what do we do? Or I've got this, you've never had one yet, but I've got this big old problem, what do I do now? You can come and get that help. So because of that, you've used it in information first, implementation second, and then insurance last. That's the chapter I feel like we're in just now. The loyalty thing I can't get away from, do you feel like results follow loyalty? In terms of like, here's an observation. Taking me out of the equation, it strikes me that you stuck with the same coach for a long time as well.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something in that? Why do you do that?
I think for me, I support that individual as much as they support me. So obviously, one, I want to see them do well because they've helped me so much. And also it's a case of you're always a few steps ahead. You're not really settled with things, which I think everybody in the OC will probably agree on as well. Like, there's always something you're like, have you seen this thing? Like, even today when we spoke, we're like, no. You're always sort of ahead and you're investing in yourself, like, whether that's investing like hours back in, like with Dave and the OC, with the coaching hours, becoming better coaches, whether that's content, bringing on expert speakers on different things, as well as upskilling yourself. Like, you're continually trying to better yourself, and like, there's always something still new to go through.
Yeah.
And for me, obviously I want to support yourself, the OC, and the direction you want to go. And I think if somebody helps you to get you to where they are, you should be hugely respectful for that. Again, doesn't mean you need to stay somewhere for 3 years. That's my choice and what I would like to do. Because I've reaped the benefits and I'm still getting what I need to from it.
Well, that's a good point. I agree, because blind loyalty doesn't pay off.
Yeah.
But there's obviously something you're still getting out of this. I know there's still work we've got to do together.
Yeah.
But I also know along the way, I know there have been things, you've never said it, but I know there will have been, because you're human, that have caught your eye as
100%,
competitors, yeah. Or like, and I'm grateful for the fact that you're still here. But if we move towards the future and think about what's next, what's the next chapter of the business?
I think for me, which I've been working on this last probably 5 months, is building out this new program. So it's a 12-month program.
Yes.
And I think it was when we had the seminar with Cal in London, when he kind of showed us that phasing and roadmap, and again back to the systems. I was like, that just opened my eyes. I'm like, right, I want to install that as like a 365 approach to health performance running, because I know I can add massive impact. So I spent a lot of time kind of with Sean on the visuals to make it look good. I spent lots of time on the notes and putting this program together to deliver the best results. And it's everything I've learned, I suppose, across these last, I think I've been coaching maybe 6 years now. Everything I've learned into a year-long program phased out. So when someone comes on board, it's like, right, we've got testing, diagnostics of where they're at. Then they move into their first phase. The program's built around them in terms of the actual periodization and programming, but the actual structure and system remains the same. So I put everything into that. That's the direction I'm going with it. It's just, I just want to be known as the person for results with what I deliver in terms of, like, whether that's running performance, whether that's getting somebody's health back in check if they're crazy busy professional. Like those, like my ambition is just to become the guy in that area, and I've got lots of work to do. But going back to earlier, I'm not looking at this as 6 months, 1 year. Like I'm looking at more longevity, like 3 to 5 years. Where am I going to be? Because I'm still a young coach. I've been coaching a good amount of years now, but for me, it's that longer term process of building to where I want to go. But again, being pretty aggressive with the day-to-day micro. It's just installed in me now as such.
Yeah, I think that the big picture thinking is where the loyalty comes from, because we share that, where it's like we're both able to think over a much longer time horizon, but thinking over that longer time horizon then brings you back to loyalty rather than what I'm going to do in the next 6 months. I'll hire this guy, we'll blast the next 6 months, and then you're standing around with your dick in your hand for the next 6 whilst you pick the next person who may or may not be a good fit, because every time you do it, you roll the dice, right?
You do, yeah. So,
mate, epic, love it. I do think strapline for you is taking away the patient in the macro and aggressive in the micro. Here's a fun question, a couple more for you. What would you tell your past self knowing what you know now?
Ooh, very good question. Always gets the good ones. What is that, my past self? It's possible.
Love that.
Yeah, it's possible. Because you definitely have limiting beliefs at the start. Like, when I first started, I thought, if I can get to 10 online clients and also coach in person, and like I can get my hours, I can work 6 to 11, and I can then spend the afternoons on the business, which I've been really working on now, like calendar management. I think for me, was just showing myself what's possible, because it's very easy to look online and see, no matter who the individual coach is, but just as coaches, like what's possible. And I think for me, it's just open my eyes up to that. Like now it's like, oh, well, if that individual can do it, they're no different to me. Like if you've got arms, legs, and breathe oxygen, it's like you can do the same thing, right? But you can have your own spin on it.
Not everyone thinks like that though. You and I do. So it's impossible to even fathom what someone else could think differently to that. But for you and I, we share that, and genuinely, I just ask you to hold on to that for as long as you can. Like it's possible. Just keep looking behind the curtain. Like as Ben always says, someone with a faster car and a bigger dick, like for sure.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
you see it and you're like, holy shit! Like I'm playing this game wrong. I've got another head fuck question for you. One more. What would you ask if you could, Tom, from 5 years from forward? So Tom, that's 5 years further ahead. What's the one question you want to know from him? Because he's going to be in a stratospherically different location. Think about what we've done in 3, and those 3 represent 50% of your current coaching tenure. 5 doubles your current coaching tenure to all intents and purposes.
Yeah, that's a good question, that is.
So Tom has been coaching for 11 years.
I think looking back from 5 years forward.
Yeah.
One, being proud of myself, of the people I've helped, but also the development of myself. Like, I can't even remember where I heard this, but focusing, like when you're starting a business, it's more of a personal development journey than it is
No question.
a business development. Like each time I've come to a stage of like, oh, I may need this new shiny thing. It's like not the problem, but the bottleneck's probably been myself. So when looking back, proud of the people I've helped, and still have an ambition for the next 5 years ahead of where I'd want to be.
With no attempt to condescend you here whatsoever. At your age, to have that wisdom is insane. To recognize that your business and your bank account will never outgrow your personal identity. I didn't possess that at the point of life that you're in now, and I could not agree more. I put it in a post this week. Your businesses won't grow faster and bigger than you have, so you've recognized that. But the question still remains: what would you ask Tom from 5 years from now? What's the one question that you want to know from him?
Such a good question.
Is it process-led? Is it what did he do? Is it personality and identity-led? It's like, who did you need to become? Is it...
I would say personality and identity-led.
So what's the question you would ask?
Such a deep question, but a good one. I would probably say, I think one of them would be, are you happy with where you are?
Okay, why
Not happy in terms of like, oh, I'm feeling happy, but in terms of the difference, like what was it, like are you happy with the difference you've made in terms of the people you've changed? I think I always find it hard to look that far forward, but I think the question would probably be more personal development of me than anything else. Like, was that what it took, or
that becomes our next 5-year mission, isn't it?
Like, is this what it takes as such? I think that I could use that now, and in 5 years, that's probably the best way to go around it. That's a good question.
But the are you happy part is really interesting, because my observation, rightly or wrongly, is that will you be happy? Will you be content? Are you content with what you have now? Yes or no?
I'm content with what I have now, but I'm also very ambitious, and I know where I want to go.
Good. Is a balance of both.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for where I'm at right now, and also don't get me wrong, I put lots of work in to get there, as you know. But I'm always driven with that next thing of where I want to go, but I'm also not blindsided by the fact of like what I got's incredible, and I'm trying to maintain what I currently have, as well as, I think, as you've said before, you have to break down the person you are to become the person you want to become next, and that's like the next stage for me. It's not a case of a new system or structure or process. It's a case of, right, who do I need to become to be where I need to go? And sometimes that almost means coming back, starting to push forward a little bit more, which I'm currently in the process of doing anyway. I've been changing that. But for me, as you will know myself, like, I'm super calculated, and I take risks in a different way. Like, I have to make sure it feels safe before that next move. In terms of, like, I've been changing my diary around at the moment to make it work for me, and also my clients the best that I can. But it doesn't always work for everybody, and that's something. Myself being somebody that likes to please people and help people, it's hard to like say no and protect your time as such. So that's like the current thing for me, I would say.
It's great way to kind of conclude that, though, is you went right back to doing your diary. We're right back to the guy that joined the OC, but with all the benefit of everything you've learned along the way. You're right back at your diary. We're right back at the foundational phase for us to build that next phase. And to kind of conclude just now is the way I would make an analogy for where you're at is you're good at putting yourself in a slingshot.
Yeah.
You're in a pullback phase just now where it's like we've been building this OCS program. It's like fucking enormous. It's like all branded. It's all like everything's considered. The branding, the delivery, everything's done. And then besides that, you're right back to diary and getting the basic process done. So for me, that opens up our next chapter, and I'm super excited for it. So, in conclusion of our chat, we've gone from 1,900 quid a month to 6-figure business to 5-figure months. Bro, it's all ahead of you, and I'm super excited to see it. And I will conclude by saying that your superpowers, in case you need told, because you possess what I possess, where you are hungry, and I observe you to be potentially blind to the things you're really good at sometimes when you're pushing. You have huge urgency about the things that you're doing, but you have calculation with that. You have agency and massive action and loyalty. And honestly, bro, if you can keep those 5 things, you have an enormous business in the locker. And for one, I'm excited to watch you do it. So thanks for sharing your story, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Good man.